What if I told you that muscle loss is not just inevitable as we age? What if I told you there are simple foods that could help you fight sarcopenia, that dreaded muscle-wasting condition that sneaks up on seniors and weakens the body over time? Sounds shocking, right? Well, it should. Sarcopenia, or age-related muscle loss, is something that happens to almost every senior, but it doesn't have to happen to you. And here's the thing. Most people don't even realize that their muscles are disappearing until it's too late. They think it's just part of getting older, the natural decline of the body. But the truth is, muscle loss doesn't have to be inevitable. With the right diet, you can prevent and even reverse muscle loss. I'll be honest, I used to think I was immune to muscle loss. I worked out regularly, ate healthy meals, and generally took good care of myself. But over the years, I began to feel weaker. Tasks that were once easy, like carrying groceries or walking upstairs, started to feel like major obstacles. I couldn't figure out why. It wasn't until I learned about sarcopenia and muscle wasting that it all made sense. And let me tell you, I made a lot of mistakes along the way. But I turned it around. And I'm here to show you how you can too. Today, I'll share 6 essential foods that you need to start eating to preserve muscle mass, boost strength, and defeat sarcopenia once and for all. These aren't fancy supplements or workout regimens. These are simple, nutrient-dense foods that can change your life. Number 1. Protein. The muscle builder you can't ignore. Wait, protein again? Didn't I already know this? That's exactly what I thought too. But let me tell you, I had no idea how important protein really was, especially for seniors. When it comes to fighting muscle loss, protein is more than just a staple in your diet. It's the key to preserving your muscle mass and reversing muscle weakening that comes with age. For the longest time, I thought I was getting enough protein. I ate lean meats, threw in some eggs and Greek yogurt, and thought that was enough to keep my muscles in top shape. After all, I was still working out, right? But then something happened. I started noticing that I was losing strength. I wasn't recovering as fast after my workouts. And simple tasks like carrying groceries or walking upstairs started to feel like major challenges. That's when I realized I had missed something big. I wasn't getting enough protein, and it was costing me muscle mass. Here's the kicker. Sarcopenia, or the gradual loss of muscle mass and strength due to aging, is something that affects almost everyone, especially seniors. But here's the good news. Sarcopenia doesn't have to happen if you pay attention to your diet, specifically your protein intake. The key lesson I learned is that as we get older, our bodies become less efficient at using protein for muscle repair and growth. Seniors need more protein than they realize to combat this effect. Let me break it down. Protein is a building block for muscles. After exercising, muscles undergo tiny tears and need protein to repair and rebuild. If you don't get enough protein, your muscles can't rebuild effectively, and that's where the weakness and muscle shrinkage kick in. So if you've ever felt like you're hitting a wall at the gym, or like you can't lift as much as you used to, the missing link might just be protein. The science behind protein and muscle health. Here's what the science says. As we age, our muscle protein synthesis, the process of building new muscle tissue, slows down. Without enough protein, the balance between muscle breakdown and buildup tilts toward more breakdown. Essentially, you lose muscle faster than you can build it back, and that's where the trouble starts. This process is called catabolism, and it's a major contributor to muscle loss in seniors. You might be thinking, I'm already eating enough protein. But here's the shocking truth, most seniors actually aren't. Research shows that the average adult over 50 gets less than half the amount of protein they should be eating. This is where I was going wrong. I thought having a healthy diet was enough, but I wasn't getting enough protein to preserve muscle. I was doing everything right in the gym, but neglecting protein left my muscles vulnerable. What changed for me? I started to prioritize protein. I increased my intake and started making sure I was getting the right amounts at each meal. Suddenly, I felt stronger, more energized, and my recovery time dropped dramatically. It was like I had unlocked the secret to a better, stronger version of myself. And let me tell you, the difference was unbelievable. The mistake I made and how you can avoid it. So, what was the mistake I made? I thought that just eating a balanced diet would be enough to keep my muscles strong. I didn't realize that as I aged, I needed more protein to maintain my muscle mass. And here's the thing. I wasn't the only one. Most seniors I know are making this exact mistake. They focus on exercise and cardio, but forget that muscle maintenance requires nutrient density, especially protein. Once I started eating more protein, about 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, I saw a transformation in my strength. I wasn't just lifting heavier weights, I felt more vital and mobile in everyday life. It wasn't just about building muscle anymore, it was about maintaining it as I got older. 2. Omega-3 fatty acids, the muscle protector you're probably missing. Omega-3s for muscles. I thought those were only for heart health. That was my exact reaction when I first heard the advice. Eat more omega-3 fatty acids to protect your muscles. I had always known that omega-3s were great for heart health, but the idea that they played a critical role in muscle function caught me off guard. But here's the thing. Omega-3 fatty acids are not just good for your heart, they are vital for muscle strength and prevention of muscle loss as you age. And let me tell you, I learned this lesson the hard way. When I first started feeling muscle weakness and stiffness, I thought it was just part of getting older. I mean, I'm active, I eat healthily, so what gives? But the more I tried to push myself, the more I started to feel drained, and the less I was able to recover after a workout. I tried upping my protein, changing my workout routine, but nothing seemed to make a difference. That's when I realized I had been missing a key nutrient, omega-3 fatty acids. Now, here's the shocking truth. Omega-3s aren't just good for preventing heart disease or improving your brain health. They are essential for maintaining muscle health, repairing muscle tissue, and reducing inflammation. And when you don't have enough of them in your diet, muscle mass begins to deteriorate more quickly as you age. I had ignored this for too long, but once I added more omega-3s into my meals, the results were immediate and life-changing. The science of omega-3s and muscle health. Let's talk science. Omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, are polyunsaturated fats that have been shown to reduce inflammation in the body. Inflammation is a major contributor to muscle breakdown and muscle soreness after exercise. When your muscles are inflamed, they can't repair properly, which leads to weakness and slower recovery. Here's the kicker. Omega-3s help prevent this. They don't just reduce inflammation, they also support muscle protein synthesis, which is how your muscles repair and grow after exercise. This means that more omega-3s in your diet can help you recover faster, build stronger muscles, and reduce muscle loss as you age. And for seniors, this is crucial. As we get older, we become more susceptible to muscle loss, and omega-3s are one of the most powerful weapons you have in your arsenal to prevent this decline. When I started incorporating more omega-3s into my diet, the results were nothing short of shocking. I added salmon, mackerel, and flax seeds to my meals, and within just a few weeks, I started to feel stronger and more mobile. My recovery time after workouts decreased, and I noticed I wasn't as sore as I used to be. The best part? I wasn't even working out any harder. I had simply added more omega-3 rich foods into my diet. The mistake I made. Underestimating omega-3s. I'll admit it. I had no idea how crucial omega-3s were for my muscle health until it was almost too late. I was focusing on my workouts, my protein intake, and even my vitamins. But I never really considered the impact of omega-3s. Once I realized my mistake, I started researching how omega-3s can actually slow down muscle loss and improve muscle mass. I had always been taught that protein and strength training were the key to keeping muscles strong, but I was missing out on one of the most important nutrients for muscle maintenance. Once I started adding omega-3 rich foods into my diet, my results were noticeable. And let me tell you, it was like I had given my muscles a new lease on life. 3. Vitamin D. The muscle powerhouse that you might be missing. Wait, vitamin D for muscles? I thought it was just for bones. That was my exact reaction when I first learned how critical vitamin D is for muscle health. Like many people, I always thought that vitamin D was solely about bone health. I mean, it's the vitamin that helps you absorb calcium, right? But I had no idea that vitamin D plays a huge role in muscle function, and it's absolutely essential for muscle strength and performance. Let me tell you, I learned this lesson the hard way. A couple of years ago, I started noticing that I was struggling with my muscle strength. My usual workouts weren't yielding the same results. I would feel exhausted after exercise, and muscle soreness seemed to linger for days. It was as if my body was fighting me every step of the way. I couldn't figure it out. I was eating well, exercising regularly, and doing everything I thought I should. But still, something was off. I went to my doctor, and after a series of tests, I found out that I was severely deficient in vitamin D. I couldn't believe it. Here I was, eating a healthy diet, spending some time in the sun, but I still wasn't getting enough of this key nutrient. The results were shocking. My muscle weakness, fatigue, and poor recovery were all linked to vitamin D deficiency. The science behind vitamin D and muscle health. So, what exactly does vitamin D have to do with muscles? Well, vitamin D is crucial for muscle function. It helps regulate calcium in the muscles, which is necessary for proper muscle contraction. Without enough vitamin D, your muscles can't function properly, and that's when you start to experience muscle weakness, soreness, and fatigue. Here's the deal. Calcium is what makes your muscles contract, but without vitamin D, calcium can't be absorbed properly into the muscles. Vitamin D helps the muscle fibers get the calcium they need to contract and relax properly. So when you're deficient in vitamin D, your muscles can't perform at their best, leading to muscle dysfunction and weakness. The science is clear. If you don't get enough vitamin D, your body is going to struggle to maintain muscle strength. As a senior, this becomes even more critical because the aging process naturally slows down the body's ability to produce vitamin D from sunlight. This is why vitamin D deficiency is so common in older adults. My mistake. Ignoring vitamin D's role in muscle health. Here's the biggest mistake I made. I didn't take vitamin D seriously. I thought just getting a little sun and eating a balanced diet would be enough. But I was wrong. My body was not absorbing enough vitamin D, and I paid the price with muscle weakness and slow recovery. It wasn't until I started supplementing with vitamin D that I began to feel stronger. Within weeks, I noticed a dramatic improvement in my muscle strength, energy, and recovery time. When I started focusing on vitamin D, it was like my body finally got the message, okay, I'm ready to get back to work. My muscles started to function properly, and I felt like I could push myself again in my workouts. I was able to recover faster, I didn't feel as fatigued, and I could finally lift more without feeling like my muscles were on strike. I started to realize that I had made a huge mistake by overlooking vitamin D for so long. I had been focusing on protein and exercise, but I had missed a key element that was preventing me from maximizing my results. Now that I know better, I make sure that vitamin D is always part of my daily routine. 4. Magnesium, the muscle relaxer you're missing. Magnesium? What does that even have to do with muscles? That was my exact reaction when I first heard how critical magnesium is for muscle function. I mean, I had heard of magnesium for things like stress relief and sleep, but muscle health? Not so much. It turns out I was seriously missing the boat. Magnesium is absolutely essential for maintaining strong, healthy muscles, and without it, you could be weakening your muscle strength and limiting your ability to recover from exercise. Let me share how I found this out and how you can avoid the same mistakes. A while back, I started noticing muscle cramps and tension in places I never had before, especially in my calves and thighs. No matter how much I stretched or how often I worked out, I just couldn't seem to shake that nagging tightness. I thought it was just overuse or getting older. But then I came across a key piece of information. Magnesium deficiency could be to blame. It was a total game changer. I was shocked because I had always made sure to get the basics: protein, vitamins, and minerals. But it turned out that one critical mineral, magnesium, had been missing from my routine, and it was costing me muscle health. Here's the science behind it. Magnesium is involved in muscle contraction and relaxation. In fact, it helps muscles relax after they contract. Without it, muscles get stuck in a tight, contracted state and can't properly recover. The science behind magnesium and muscle health. Here's how magnesium works. When you exercise, your muscles undergo tiny tears as part of the muscle-building process. These tears need to be repaired for your muscles to grow and become stronger. Magnesium plays a crucial role in the recovery process by helping your muscles relax and return to their resting state. It's also important for maintaining the balance of calcium in your muscle cells. When you don't get enough magnesium, calcium builds up, causing your muscles to contract and stay tense, leading to pain and muscle weakness. But that's not all. Magnesium also supports protein synthesis in muscles, which is essential for muscle repair. Without enough magnesium, your body is unable to properly synthesize protein, leading to muscle fatigue and slow recovery after exercise. It's like trying to drive a car without the engine oil. Your body just doesn't run smoothly. My mistake: ignoring magnesium's role in muscle function. I'll admit, I made a huge mistake by ignoring magnesium. I had always focused on protein and calcium, thinking those were the most important nutrients for my muscles. But it wasn't until I started addressing my magnesium deficiency that I truly felt a difference. After doing some research, I learned that magnesium isn't just for relaxation or sleep. It's essential for muscle health, and if you're not getting enough of it, you could be leaving your muscles in a constant state of tension. When I started increasing my magnesium intake, I was amazed at how quickly my muscle cramps and tightness improved. I began sleeping better, recovering faster after workouts, and I even noticed I had more energy throughout the day. I started eating more magnesium-rich foods like spinach, almonds, and avocados, and I added a magnesium supplement to my routine. In just a few weeks, my muscles started to feel looser, more relaxed, and stronger. 5. Potassium, the electrolyte that can save your muscles. Potassium? Isn't that just for your heart and blood pressure? That was the exact thought I had when I first heard about the critical role potassium plays in muscle health. I mean, we all know it's good for your heart health and blood pressure, but when it comes to muscle strength, I didn't realize how important it truly is. If you've ever experienced those excruciating leg cramps or felt like your muscles were just out of sync, potassium deficiency could be the reason. And trust me, I learned this lesson in a very painful way. A few years ago, I started noticing a pattern. After a long day of work, I'd go for a walk or hit the gym, but soon enough, muscle cramps would hit, especially in my calves. I would try to stretch, hydrate, and rest, but the cramps wouldn't go away. Muscle soreness seemed to linger forever, and no matter how hard I worked out, I wasn't recovering the way I used to. It wasn't until I found out about potassium that everything started to make sense. I was lacking potassium, and the impact on my muscles was huge. But before we get into the details, let me tell you the science behind it all. Here's the deal. Potassium is a critical electrolyte in the body, and electrolytes are what help conduct electrical signals between cells, which includes muscle cells. If your potassium levels are too low, your muscles can't properly contract and relax, leading to weakness, cramps, and fatigue. The science. Why potassium is crucial for muscle function. When you exercise, your muscles rely on electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and calcium to transmit electrical signals that allow your muscles to contract and relax. If you don't have enough potassium, your muscles don't function properly. This can lead to muscle cramps, weakness, and even muscle spasms. Here's the thing. Potassium helps maintain the balance of fluids inside your muscle cells. When potassium levels drop, it can cause sodium to accumulate, disrupting the electrolyte balance and leading to muscle tightness and cramping. It's like trying to run a car without oil. Everything gets stuck and doesn't run smoothly. The same happens with your muscles. Without proper potassium levels, Your muscles become more prone to injury, pain, and lack of function. My mistake. Underestimating the power of potassium. I never thought I'd be the person to have muscle cramps or weakness, but I was wrong. I was doing everything right in terms of exercise and hydration, but I wasn't paying enough attention to potassium in my diet. I would drink water like crazy, but still, my muscles felt stiff and unresponsive. I didn't realize that I was under-consuming potassium, and that was a massive mistake. As soon as I started eating more potassium-rich foods like bananas, sweet potatoes, and spinach, the cramps started to diminish, and my muscle function improved. In fact, after a few weeks of focusing on potassium, I felt stronger, my muscles were more relaxed, and I had more energy throughout the day. Shocking hook number 2. What if I told you that the reason your muscles feel tired and weak could be because you're missing potassium? Simple changes in your diet could change everything. 6. Water. The unsung hero of muscle health. Wait, what? Water? Isn't that just for staying hydrated? That was my reaction too when I first learned how critical water is for muscle function. We all know that water is essential for hydration, but what I didn't realize was that muscles are made up of about 70% water, and muscle health is inextricably linked to how well you're hydrating your body. Yes, you heard me right. Muscle health and water are that connected. You might be thinking, I already drink enough water. What's the big deal? Trust me, I thought the same thing until I experienced the muscle fatigue and weakness that comes with being chronically dehydrated. For years, I would drink water only when I was thirsty or during my workouts, but I was missing the big picture. My muscles were starting to feel stiff and sore all the time. I couldn't understand it. I was working out regularly, eating well, and staying active. What was wrong? It turns out I wasn't hydrating properly. Once I started focusing on staying consistently hydrated, my muscle strength improved almost immediately. But before I get too far ahead of myself, let's break down the science behind it. The science. How water fuels your muscles. Your muscles are made up of 70% water, and water is essential for a whole bunch of processes that keep your muscles functioning properly. Water helps transport the nutrients that your muscles need to stay strong. It also plays a role in muscle contraction and relaxation. Without enough water, your muscles can't perform at their best. Here's where things get interesting. When you're dehydrated, the body struggles to circulate electrolytes like sodium and potassium to your muscles, which are critical for proper muscle function. This can lead to muscle cramps, fatigue, and weakness. In addition, when you're not drinking enough water, your muscles can't recover properly after exercise, which leads to stiffness and delayed recovery. Think about it this way. Water is the oil that keeps the engine of your body running smoothly. Without it, the engine, aka your muscles, doesn't function efficiently, leading to breakdowns, i.e. cramps, soreness, and weakness. My mistake. Not drinking enough water. I made a huge mistake by underestimating water. I thought that drinking during workouts was enough, but I wasn't thinking about how important hydration is for muscle function in everyday life. I realized that I had been chronically dehydrated for years without even knowing it, and it was slowly affecting my muscle performance and overall well-being. My muscles felt tight, sore, and I was more prone to injury. It wasn't until I started drinking water consistently throughout the day, not just during my workouts, that I noticed a major improvement. I made it a point to sip water regularly, even when I wasn't thirsty. And guess what happened? I started to feel more energized, my muscles recovered faster, and I didn't experience as much muscle soreness after my workouts. My muscles felt looser and stronger, and my overall fitness began to improve in ways I hadn't anticipated. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you found these tips helpful and that they inspire you to take action towards maintaining your muscle health. The simple changes I've shared today, like adding more protein, boosting your omega-3s, and staying hydrated, can truly make a huge difference in how strong and vibrant you feel as you age. If you learned something new, or if you're excited to start making these changes, don't forget to leave a comment below and share your thoughts with me. I'd love to hear about your journey. Like the video if you found it helpful, and make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another update. By subscribing, you'll be joining a community of people who are all focused on living their healthiest and strongest lives. Thank you again for being part of this community. Your support means everything to me. I can't wait to see you in the next video, where we'll continue to explore ways to stay strong, healthy, and active. Until then, take care of yourself, stay strong, and keep living life to the fullest. See you soon, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.